So imagine a small village. One person grows wheat, one makes shoes, one builds houses. At first, they exchange goods directly. The farmer gives wheat in return for shoes. And this system is called the barter system. A barter system means exchanging goods and services without using the money. Sounds simple, right? But it's a huge problem. What if the shoemaker doesn't want wheat? And this problem is called double coincidence of wants. Both people must want what the other person has at the same time. Very inefficient. So humans invent something revolutionary.
I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about this.
The money. This brings us to the concept of money. Money solves the barter problem because everyone agree it has a value. That agreement is based on trust. And when the government officially declares a currency acceptable for payments, it becomes legal tender. For example, rupees 500 notes in India are legal tender because the government says they must be accepted for transactions. Money now allows people to specialize in one job instead of doing everything themselves. This idea is called division of labor. Instead of everyone farming, building, cooking, and sewing badly, people specialize. Teachers teach, doctors treat patients, engineer builds things. This increases efficiency and productivity. And when specialization expands across countries, we get comparative advantage. This means countries produce what they're relatively best at.
Okay.
For example, Saudi Arabia exports oil, China manufactures products, India exports IT services. And this exchange between countries is called international trade. Now let's understand prices. Why do petrol prices rise during wars? This happens because of demand and supply. If supply decreases but demand stay high, price rise.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
For example, if war disrupts oil production, global oil supply falls. But people still need fuel, so prices increase. Now enter banks. Banks don't just store money, they also create money through loans. And this process is called credit creation. When banks lend money, business expand, people buy homes, economies grow. Modern economies run heavily on credit economy. But too much borrowing creates risk. This brings us to inflation.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Inflation means a sustained increase in prices over time. And one major reason is too much money chasing too few goods. For example, if people have more money but production remains limited, prices rise. To control inflation, countries use central banks like Reserve Bank of India in India and Federal Reserve in USA. And these banks control interest rates. If inflation becomes too high, central banks increase interest rates, loans become expensive, people spend less, inflation slows down. How do we measure a country's economy? Using GDP, Gross Domestic Product. GDP measures the total value of goods and services produced inside a boundary of a country. Higher GDP generally means more production, more jobs, stronger economic activity. Today, economies are deeply interconnected, and this is called globalization. And much of global trade runs on US dollar dominance. Countries trade oil and hold reserves in dollar, and that's why decisions made in America affect economies worldwide. So economics is not just money. It's a story of human wants, scarcity, trade, trust, power, fear, and decision making. From a farmer exchanging wheat to billion-dollar global trade, everything is connected. But this is only the surface of economics. We still haven't talked about recession, stock markets, unemployment, capitalism versus socialism, taxes, national debt, cryptocurrency, trade wars, poverty traps, economic bubbles, and why government just can't print unlimited money and become rich overnight. So, this was part one of understanding how the world economy actually works. And trust me, the deeper we go, the crazier it gets.